Hello friends, good evening. Who's buying the F-47 and what does it mean for your country's security? This isn't just about planes, it's about the strategic chess moves being made by global powers. We're breaking down the F-47 sales map from NATO air forces to new allies to uncover the hidden agendas and their impact on the world stage. The F-47 isn't just an aircraft, it's a statement. But who's making that statement and why? The F-47's rise wasn't accidental. It entered the scene at a moment when many air forces faced an uncomfortable truth. Their existing fleets were aging, predictable, and increasingly exposed. Warfare had shifted. Speed and dogfighting mattered less than sensor dominance, stealth, and decision-making superiority. The F-47 was designed precisely for that shift. Early on, skepticism was loud. Critics questioned the cost, the complexity, and whether the technology was arriving too soon. On paper, it looked risky. In practice, everything changed once exercises began. Simulations showed legacy aircraft struggling to detect it, sometimes never seeing it at all. That wasn't impressive marketing, it was a warning sign. Then came the first buyers. This initial sales wave wasn't driven by hype or prestige. These countries weren't shopping, they were hedging. Buying the F-47 was a way to future-proof their air power and avoid falling behind in a rapidly changing threat environment. Just as important, the purchase sent a signal. To rivals, it said, "We're upgrading faster than you expected." To allies, it said, "We're aligned, strategically and politically." That dual message is rare in defense procurement, and it's exactly what fueled the early sales momentum. By the end of the first phase, the F-47 wasn't simply another advanced jet on the market. It had become a benchmark, forcing other nations to rethink not just what they fly, but how power itself is projected in the modern airspace.
At first glance, it looks obvious. NATO countries buying the F-47 feels like business as usual. Shared standards, shared enemies, shared hardware. But stopping there misses the real logic. Yes, interoperability matters. Flying the same platform simplifies communication, logistics, and joint missions. But that's the baseline, not the motivation. The deeper reason is strategic reassurance. For key NATO members, the F-47 represents a way to lock in long-term relevance. Many Allied air forces were operating aircraft designed for a different era. Cold War upgrades stretched into the 21st century. The F-47 isn't just replacing old jets, it's reshaping how these forces expect to fight. Instead of relying on large formations and shared numbers, doctrine is shifting toward information dominance. Fewer aircraft, but smarter ones. Jets that act as flying command nodes, collecting data, sharing it instantly, and coordinating strikes across air, land, and sea. The F-47 fits neatly into that model. Joint exercises make this visible. In recent drills, F-47 units weren't just flying alongside allies, they were quietly orchestrating the fight, feeding targeting data to older aircraft, extending radar coverage, reducing response time across entire task forces. That's not symbolism, that's deterrence in action. And here's the uncomfortable truth. For NATO, buying the F-47 isn't only about staying ahead of adversaries, it's about staying aligned with each other. Shared capability creates shared dependence, and that, strategically speaking, is the glue that keeps alliances credible. In other words, the F-47 doesn't just strengthen air power, it hardens alliances.
The real twist in the F-47 story isn't NATO, it's the non-NATO buyers. These countries aren't buying the F-47 for prestige, they're using it to reposition themselves geopolitically. Acquiring such an advanced platform sends a clear message. We're not locked into one alliance or one supplier. But skepticism matters. Many of these deals come with quiet conditions like financing, training dependence, or political expectations that don't make headlines. For emerging markets, reliance on a single arms supplier is a strategic risk. The F-47 appeals because it offers diversification, along with promises of offsets, local industry involvement, and partial tech access. Still, full independence is an illusion. Control over software, sensors, and mission data often remains with the supplier. The real power lies in who controls the system, not who flies it. In the Indo-Pacific, F-47 sales strengthen deterrence, but also trigger countermeasures, raising tension alongside stability. In the Middle East, one acquisition often sparks another, accelerating regional arms competition and increasing miscalculation risks. In emerging markets, the F-47 isn't just a jet, it's a strategic signal, reshaping alliances and regional power balances.
At this level, the F-47 stops being a machine and starts behaving like a policy instrument. Every F-47 sale carries more than an invoice. These deals are usually bundled with training programs, maintenance ecosystems, industrial offsets, and long-term service agreements. That creates durable political ties, not just military ones. Governments use the F-47 to deepen partnerships, reward alignment, and anchor relationships that last decades, often extending into trade, energy, and intelligence cooperation. The assumption that arms sales are just business doesn't survive contact with reality. They're structured commitments. F-47 exports also function as a quiet counterweight to rival military platforms offered by other global powers. When a country chooses the F-47, it often locks itself out of competing ecosystems. Different software standards, logistics chains, and doctrines don't mix easily. This isn't accidental. It's strategic containment through compatibility. In effect, selling the F-47 limits a rival's influence without firing a shot. Looking ahead to 2030, widespread F-47 adoption points towards a more block-driven air power landscape. Air forces won't just share jets, they'll share data, targeting logic, and operational assumptions. That could strengthen deterrence among aligned states, but it also risks hardening divisions and reducing strategic flexibility. The F-47 isn't reshaping global security because of what it can do in the air, but because of what it locks in on the ground: alliances, dependencies, and long-term power structures.
Looking ahead, the F-47 story is far from finished. Upcoming orders and new buyers. Several countries are widely believed to be in advanced talks or quiet evaluations. These are typically states facing rising regional pressure, operating aging fleets, and seeking closer but flexible security partnerships. Not all of these negotiations will succeed, but the trend is clear. Demand is expanding beyond the original buyer circle. Technological evolution. The F-47 was never designed to stay static. Planned upgrades focus on software-driven improvements, AI-assisted decision support, enhanced sensor fusion, and better integration with drones and space-based assets. This upgrade path is critical. It allows the platform to stay relevant without constant redesign, extending its operational life well into the next decade. An enduring legacy. The F-47's true legacy won't be measured only in sorties or sales numbers. It's already influencing how countries think about air power, alliances, and deterrence. By tying military capability to long-term political and technological alignment, the F-47 is shaping. What do you think about the F-47's growing global reach? Like and subscribe SKYJETJet Wings. Share your thoughts in the comments.